Hey friends, I think you'll know what I mean when I say that as a teacher, I hear myself say the same things over and over again. Anybody? I think that happens for a number of reasons. The two that I'm very aware of are, as singers, we have found certain things, practices, techniques, beliefs, whatever, to be of value. We want to share these with our students because that's one of the things they're paying us for, right? To make their road a little shorter, a little less bumpy. Because these things are important to us, we share them over and over and over. The other reason is that basics really matter a lot. You can't build a magnificent structure without a solid foundation. So not only do our students need to learn basics, but they and we need to keep coming back to the basics, right? They're the most important things. I teach professional singers, voice teachers, adults, people who are meeting with me with a goal in mind. I think these things are even more important. My clients want to save time. They want to have these basics internalized. And when I teach teachers, like in my neurovocal training classes, I find that I still say the same things over and over again, and for the same reasons. They're the things that I believe really, really matter. And they're things that I consider basics of learning to teach popular styles. Popular singers. Singers of popular styles. There we go. I knew there was a right way to say it. We're going to look at a way that singers of popular styles often self-sabotage. It's a principle that is both basic and very advanced. It's a thing that we have to keep coming back to. And it's something that we the teachers, benefit from every single time we communicate it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I have a great freebie for you today as well, so stay with me. I am Meredith Colby. I'm the author of Money Notes, How to Sing High, Loud, Healthy, and Forever, which introduces neurovocal for popular styles, a way to teach singing for microphone-based genres that is based on brain science. I am a voice coach specializing in popular styles, and you can schedule directly with me from my website. I also teach classes to voice professionals in neurovocal for popular styles, which gives voice teachers and coaches amazing tools to confidently teach popular styles in their own studios. And if right now through June 15th, you can still register for the upcoming neurovocal training for voice professionals, teachers, and coaches. I have two sections, one for the Americas and Europe, one for the Americas and the Western Hemisphere. I have a couple spots in each of those, but it really is filling up, so that's kind of exciting. Additional discount if you are on my mailing list. This is the last time I'm going to be doing this in 2022, so if you want to do it this year, now's the time. Go to my information page that's on my site. If you're not sure, you can book a free appointment with me. You can figure out if it's a good fit. Thanks for being here with me today. Or on the replay, please contribute your thoughts, questions, experiences. I love to get your questions and comments. During the broadcast, after the broadcast, I always check back. When you hear something you like, click a heart, click a thumbs. It helps me and it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I promised you a good freebie today, and this is really good. It's a PDF download of my guide to developing style. It's a two-parter. The first part helps you sort of adjust your pop goggles, if you will, so that you're seeing the world through the lens of various microphone-based genres. And the second part, even if you think you know, if you're a pop singer yourself, sometimes having somebody say something out loud that you go, oh, I knew that. Now I have words for it. The second part gives you practical ideas and techniques that you can use in the studio. So if you put styling in the chat, the neurovocal bot will send you the link. The neurovocal bot seems to be behaving herself now. We voice teachers and coaches know that there are many ways that our students, thanks for the thumbs, that our students and clients self-sabotage. We know this. For instance, our favorite, they fail to practice what they are working on in their lessons. And then when it's time to perform, they find that, surprise, they have not internalized what they've been learning. Or they pay for your time, your brain, your experience, and then they do not follow your guidance. Why? We don't know. Sometimes their personalities will sabotage them if they're overthinkers or they're the kind of people that just want you to get to the bottom line. and they don't recognize that they're engaged in a process. So that can happen too. But you and I know that there are ways that all people self-sabotage. I know I've been guilty of it in my life many times, but today we're going to talk about a specific form of self-sabotage that is knit into the fabric of our lives, so we hardly even know we're doing it. This will not apply to you if you were homeschooled, probably. For most of us, the model for formal education is not always the best tool for the long-term job. That model being there's a room full of students and one teacher who is relaying information to those students. At certain intervals, the students are asked to prove that they understood what the teacher was attempting to convey via a test or quiz. I want to be fair. I recognize that there are wonderful educators out there who have made education in general much more inclusive, continue to do that work. There are creative educators trying new ways of classroom learning all the time. So I just want to be very clear that I recognize those people, I recognize those events. I am not pointing fingers. Public education is a huge and nuanced subject. And also, I have a child who just finished high school. I know that the model that I just described is still the default model for public schools in the U.S. And if you are not watching me from the U.S., it's very likely the default model in your country as well. And you can see why that would be, right? I mean, there's one teacher who has to transfer a certain amount of knowledge in a given amount of time. That's a big ask, right? Right there. So the model says, I, the teacher, will tell you the thing. Your answer will either be right or wrong. The number of right or wrong answers you give me will determine your grade in the class. So then, of course, overall, the number of answers, I'm getting some thumbs on that, the number of answers you get right or wrong over your career can and probably will, over your career, right, your entire school career, can and probably will have a direct impact on your earning potential and the quality of your life. So right and wrong in the classroom is a big deal, and we are conditioned to it from a very early age. So just put a pin in that. We're going to come back to it. Again, I'm just going to say this again real quick. If you're just joining me, if you want the download of my comprehensive guide for teaching style, put styling in the comments and the bot will send you that link. If you're on my email list, you don't have to do that. I sent it to you this morning. If you're watching on YouTube, look in the video description and get that link below. It should be noted that what I've described here is a very top-down way of teaching. The teacher is expected to communicate a sort of a predetermined packet of knowledge to a specific group of humans. This is not an exercise in collaboration. So we all go through this process from the time we're, 5 or 6 years old, right or wrong, top down. And when we're finished, we just pop out into the world confident in our abilities to make our own decisions, right? Not so right for most of us. Kind of not that right. I don't think that there are many people who leave our education system with confidence in their own decision-making skills. Anybody? Feel free to disagree with me if you want. I'm sure that there are some of you who can relate to me as a human. I am someone who hates making decisions. I am that annoying friend who, when you say, where do you want to go? I say, I don't care, where do you want to go? I'm that person. Because even all these years later, I have retained fears about making the wrong decisions. I don't think I'm alone. So guess what? That's what both you and your students are dealing with in the voice studio. So why do we care? Because in popular styles, and you knew I was going to talk about popular styles because that's my thing. In popular styles, there's literally no such thing as right or wrong. Literally. Because that paradigm is stifling. It sucks the art out of art. Popular styles are, by definition, artist-generated, artist-directed. The artist makes the decisions about what to put out there, about how they want to present their music. Ergo, there is wanted and not wanted. That's kind of it. I mean, well, ideally, there's also knowing how to get a default sound for your singing that is sustainable over a 4-hour gig. That's an important thing. But even there, that's a concept that is pretty far outside the paradigm of right and wrong, right? I mean, you guys, even things that seem like a non-negotiable in singing, like singing in tune, for instance, even that is up for grabs, e.g., Coldplay. Throwing some shade on Coldplay. If what a singer is doing includes singing out of tune, and some people like and enjoy that singer's work, then it is not a bad thing. It is not wrong. It is working at an artistic level. So here's you in your studio. You're trying to get them to sing in a way that supports their vision, but you may even have some of that right and wrong paradigm thing sneaking into your teaching because you may have been taught that way. I mean, you certainly were taught that way in school, but you may have been taught that way in your own musical development. So in fact, if you studied classically, you almost certainly were taught that way. At least some of the time, maybe not all your teachers, but at least some of the time. But even if you were not taught classically, if you're someone who has worked on your craft in the popular styles, you have very likely I've done this. You have very likely confused efficient and inefficient, or this works better than that, with right and wrong. And you may have communicated right and wrong to your students, even if you didn't mean to. Meanwhile, your students are nurturing the notion that everything they do stylistically should be organic. Their choices should just naturally fly out of their mouths in a natural way, just like the singers they listen to. So like if they love Rihanna, they think they should be able to naturally riff like Rihanna. They do not want to consider the reality that they have to make stylistic choices, however naturally or practiced, and that they will be responsible for the choices that they make. Again, this isn't a right or wrong thing. It's just this is the choice I made. This is a decision-making thing. They do not want to consider that they may not yet have the skills that their beloved singing models have, and that in order to express themselves, they may have to acquire some skills, or as I like to think of it, stylistic vocabulary. By the way, that is one of the modules in the neurovocal teacher training and certification class. So this class is all about brains and popular music. So if you want to know about brains and popular music, go to my website and get the info. So here's what happens. Your student comes to you. You work on technique with that student. Unless you are very intentional about it, and sometimes even when you are intentional about it, both you and your student are swimming around in the soup of the right and wrong paradigm. And then, when it's time to work on songs in a popular style, it becomes time to work on style, because that's part of popular music. So now, you, the coach, teacher, either shy away from that because you don't feel like you have the tools to help your student with their style, or you lean in to having them do like stylistic exercises like pentatonic scales or riffs. So today I'm going to suggest 3 things for you to add to your teaching that might really help your students of popular styles. Give voice to that right-wrong paradigm. Just say it out loud. Just tell your student that you are conditioned, that we're all conditioned to think that way, but that we need to try to explore music and singing beyond that way of thinking. Acknowledge that you struggle with this mindset, because we do, right? Give voice to this process, to the fact that you never reach the finish line, and you can celebrate the little wins along the way. When what they do matches their intention, that's a win. Yay, let's celebrate it. The second thing is, and my freebie today gives you some guidance about how to do this. If you have never intentionally listened to a singer that you love in the popular genres, any microphone-based genre, and really picked apart what that singer's doing, really gotten conscious about it and tried to copy and tried to imitate, if you've never done that, that's not a natural thing to do. And so you may need to learn how to do that your own self before you teach your students to do it, because it does require a certain kind of skilled listening. The download today sort of walks you through how you can do that and what you can listen for. And it also gives you some suggestions about good examples of different genres. So like vocal texture. What vocal textures is somebody using? Are they using vocal fries? Are they using plosives? Are they using breathy tones? You know, little things about learning to listen to those nuances and then copy them in little bits. Okay? And then the last thing is to experience the unfolding. I know, you're like, I didn't know I was coming to a Buddhist lecture. It's just that I think we lose sight of that as instructors because we are so enthusiastic and so impassioned about helping people move forward that we sometimes lose sight of the fact that we're engaged in a process that does not have an end game. Never. I mean, well, as one of my teachers said, you know you're perfect when you're dead. So it really doesn't have an end game. Keep your singer in the mindset that music is art and art is a process. That's all. You don't arrive. If you love your art, you learn to love the divine dissatisfaction that goes with it. Who is that? St. Thomas Aquinas, I think. The divine dissatisfaction. You invest in the tedious activities that will lead to our artistic expansion, and then you enjoy your ability to feel expressive in the moment. I mean, one of the most magical things about music is that it demands that both you and the listener be in the moment. Sound through time cannot be captured. Even when you play it back, you're still involved in sound through time. And teaching your student to appreciate that process and to be aware of the nature of the art form and to celebrate that ambiguity, it may be the single greatest gift that you ever give them. I'm Meredith Colby. Thank you very much for being here with me today. Have a great week.